At some point in life, everybody needs comfort and luxury at its best, and Protea Hotel by Marriott tells you that it is the place to be in case you are searching for that. Now, of course, they have a fully fledged kitchen with different kinds of cuisines and continental dishes, but they also have a health club where they have swimming, sauna, steam bath, and a gym. Yes, a gym. And of course, if you want to sleep in with your family and friends, they do have some very beautiful rooms that you can check out. It is located in the heart of Entebbe, right a few steps away from the airport. Now, my name is Karo Noamani. You're welcome to Issues at Hand this morning, and we are here to discuss issues pertaining our lives as Ugandans, as a community, socially, economically, politically, educational, inspirational, but also other underlying factors that, of course, affect us as Ugandans. Now, today we'll be discussing a topic, and I have a guest in studio. But before I introduce them, I'd like to remind you that our social media platforms are open for discussion. That's at Church of Uganda Family TV on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, where we post these videos so that you can go and comment and, of course, stay with the discussion. Now, of course, we are going to discuss a topic about internal affairs, about affairs concerning the internal affairs. What do they do? What is their mandate? And then also we're going to look at the refugees, because we know that Uganda is the third largest holder of refugees, third largest country in Africa to host refugees. But can Uganda really sustain refugees while some of the Ugandans are still homeless? As you know, we've seen ministers coming out to fight for people who have been chased off land, and we are saying, is it viable, or is it important, or can Uganda as a country sustain other people coming into the country? If it can, then well and good, but if it cannot, then what happens? My guest in studio today is Mundeyi Simon Peter, Spokesperson, Ministry of Internal Affairs. You're very welcome to studio this morning.
Thank you, Carol, for having me here this morning. Greetings to our viewers and those people who wake up on Family TV.
Okay.
Yes.
How is Internal Affairs doing?
Internal Affairs is not bad. It's okay, but very busy. You know, we have a lot of work.
Okay.
To ensure that Ugandans acquire the services that they look for in that place,
that they deserve.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so let's start with the mandate or the vision and mission, basically the mandate of the Internal Affairs.
The Ministry of Internal Affairs is, you would call it the central government.
Okay.
It is the ministry that coordinates security. So our mandate in totality is to ensure a peaceful, safe and secure Uganda. And as you know, it coordinates a number of security organizations, such as prisons, such as police, all are under the Ministry of Internal Affairs. And then immigration.
Okay.
Yes.
So you can discuss security. What is the state of security in the country currently?
Currently, we, apart from these few instances of bombs that we had recently, the country is secure. It has been managed. We have not had even a single blast. So, meaning police is ably handling that docket, and I can assure you, nothing is out of hand.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Now, Ministry of Internal Affairs is the ministry that handles passports. We know it more about passports. We know it from passports. I'm sure every Ugandan can relate, especially those who travel in and out of the country. And I'll start with the passport brokers issue, which has for a long time been lingering around. First of all, is it allowed for somebody to be a broker of passports?
Thank you, Carol. First of all, let me say, answer the last question. Okay. It's not allowed. We do not allow brokers in passport services. Now, in 2018, around about there, Uganda started issuing electronic passports, the new passports. It was a requirement by ICAO. ICAO is the International Civil Aviation Authority organization that regulates travel documents. It was a requirement that we had to move to new type of passports that would be allowed to be read at all international airports. But specifically, the reason why we moved is because of one, there was a lot of fraud, especially on the old scheme of passports that did not have biometrics. There was no fingerprint, no iris, no facial recognition features in those passports. So it was only important that we move to passports that are more secure, passports that would enable us to move across the globe without having any disturbances. So 2018, the Council of Ministers, East African Community, sat and they agreed that on top of moving to electronic passports, we have got to issue passports that encompass East Africa. So we started issuance of East African passports, and I think Kenya started, then there was Rwanda, then Tanzania, and then also followed suit. These passports are same in color, same in features, and same in everything, apart from the Republic. Like for instance, if we have East African Community on top, then down would have the country that is issuing that passport. For instance, Kenya, Uganda, or Rwanda. So when we started issuing those passports, we carried out a media campaign seriously to ensure that Ugandans change their passports, and we gave them a grace period to continue using the old passport until a certain time. So by 2019, of course, as you know, our people, they were slow. Very few people would come there to change passports. So along the way, COVID came in. That was 2019, 2020, and then we had a lockdown. So when we had the lockdown, our system, passport application system, remained open, and people would apply for passports. But remember, we were not handling them. First of all, we were not operating at office. Secondly, the people who didn't have time to apply for passports now had a lot of time. So everybody applied for a passport, 2019. So when we reopened after COVID, oh my God, we had a lot of people on our system, numbering about 30,000. And we remember we could only handle 1,500, like that. And then that time, people wanted to go out for business, people wanted to go out for jail, people wanted to go out for treatment, people wanted to go out they had missed out for studies. So everybody was struggling to get a passport. Now, because of that struggle and long queues that characterized our services down there, brokers came in. Brokers, of course, because of desperation of people, everybody would look for someone who they think would help them acquire a passport quickly. So we had so many brokers around that area of internal affairs. Even in town, we had around Ginger Road, Dewington Road, Kuruma Road. They even opened offices. And they were calling people to go. And very many people were fleeced. That was after we had reopened. So we struggled. Of course, we arrested some of them. Others were maneuvering all through. So we reduced the numbers. When we reduced the numbers, and remember that time we had a lot of these girls going to the Arab world to do cheyo.
Yeah.
So the numbers were so huge. We had so many labor externalization companies. We had individuals who had missed traveling. So there was a lot of confusion there. So it is that time that brokers came in. Because you know brokers normally come in when they see that there's something amiss in a service. So we struggled with them. 2021, 2022, the numbers started coming down. So we introduced scheduling of applicants when you apply for your passport, because originally it wasn't there. That's why we had that confusion. Everybody, whoever would apply for a passport would run down there to have it processed. So we introduced scheduling. You would apply now for a passport, pay for it, and then schedule. And the system would give you a date on which to appear down there. So because of this system improvement, and also our tough stance towards the brokers, we managed to cap the brokerage services. And as I speak now, we do not have lines. We don't have, if you applied for Express, for instance, it will give you same day appointment and you go there, work on you. We don't have any queues, we don't have any brokers. And I think so far so good.
So that brings me to the fees then. How
Yes.
much does someone incur to get a passport in Uganda? What's the process anyway?
The process is simple. What you do, you apply online via www.passports.go.ug. That is our portal. And once you reach there, you'll find a simple form to fill. Very simple. And this form is asking you about basics about you. Basically, your name, your date of birth, your father, your mother, your origins, where do you come from, which clan. So you fill in all those details, which we think every Ugandan knows.
Online?
Online, yes. Online, that form is online. After you have filled all that information, then at the tail end of it, there is a system gives you what we refer to as payment reference number, PRN. That number is the one you use to pay for a passport. And we have so many payment gateways. You can pay using mobile money. In other words, you can sit in your house, apply for a passport, and pay for it, and even schedule appointment without moving out.
Okay.
Then you can go to the bank and pay. You can pay using a Visa card, MasterCard, whatever means you want, because payment is done and coordinated by Uganda Revenue Authority, URA. So once you pay, then the system now allows you, it gives you, you go to schedule, it gives you a wide range of options, and for you to choose, depending on your convenience. You can choose a week after, 2 weeks, and also depending on the number of applicants. If the applicants are so many, then it might give you a further date. If the applicants are few, it could even give you that same day. But I can authoritatively tell you that for express passports, once you pay and ask for appointment, it will give you same day appointment.
Okay.
And you come down there, we subject you to a simple interview. This interview is just to collaborate what you filled in your form. Where we shall say, you said you're a Muganda, who is your grandfather, who is your grandmother, just to verify citizenship. To confirm, actually. To confirm that what you filled here was coming from you, and that nobody actually filled this form for you. And then we process the passport.
Okay.
It takes about, for standard passports, standard ordinary, takes about 2 weeks. 2 weeks, 2 weeks to 10 working days. 5, because in a week we have 7 days, so we count 5 working days, and then the other. So, but some people count even weekends when we are not working.
Okay.
Yes. And you get your passport. You receive a message. By the way, once the passport is done, the system sends you a message and says, your passport, this has been finalized. Please go to Chambogo and pick it. Or if it has issues, still you receive a notification that your passport has issues. Please come to passport office and rectify. Or sometimes some people would want to check, to track status of their application. You can still go online and track status. You'll find that portal where they say track status. When you click, it will tell you what is happening to your application. Maybe it is ready, maybe it is not ready, maybe it has issues here and there, and you are able to correct those issues.
Okay.
Things have been simplified, and actually, on this end, I call upon Ugandans out there not to involve third parties in these matters of passport, because there's no reason to do so. First of all, this guy will ask you for money.
Exactly.
We have actually cases where people have been paying up to a tune of 2 million shillings to process a passport. Yes, including even people who have gone to school. Somebody who can access a computer. How can you stoop that low that you can pay somebody to help you put your information on the system to get a passport? It is not called for, really. Yeah.
So I would be wondering then, how much would I pay?
Oh yeah. Fees depends on the type of passport. We have basically 3 types of passports. We have what we call ordinary passport. It is unfortunate I didn't carry some samples you would have seen, but ordinary passport is blue. It looks like this, blue.
Okay.
This blue is ordinary passport for every citizen.
Okay.
Now, this blue passport goes for 250,000 only. Now, but then there are people who want to have it expedited. People who have emergencies. People who want to go for treatment. People who want to go for studies and they would want to have it fast-tracked. So you add 150,000 and you turn this into express.
Oh.
That's what we call express, bringing a total to 400,000 for this one. Now, we have the green one, known as service passport. Now, the green one is not for every Ugandan to apply for. These are passports carried by members of parliament, heads of government departments, members of commissions, like Electoral Commission, Amnesty Commission, members now, not chair, not vice, members just, they qualify for this. And any other person that may be authorized by the Minister of Internal Affairs. The minister has powers to give you this type of passport.
The minister should give media powers.
Yes, if he has a reason for you to get this, he will actually recommend you to get this type of passport. Sometimes there are Ugandans who go out there to do for us certain official duties, even when they are not themselves officials. Then we have the diplomatic passport, the red one. Now this service is 400,000. I don't want people to confuse the 400 of express and the 400 of this.
Okay.
The 400 of express, actually you pay using 2 payment reference numbers.
Okay.
You pay for the passport, 250. Then you also pay 150 for express service.
Differently.
So it is not at once. The 400 is not paid at one go.
Okay.
This one here, it is actually cut into passport 250, express service 150. We did this with the reasoning that some people don't want to pay for express. They are not in a rush to have their passport processed, so they are at liberty to pay the 250.
Okay.
It is not compulsory. Then this one you pay at one go, 400,000 is paid at once.
And it's compulsory, it's 400,000.
400,000.
Okay.
This system will generate a buff of 400,000. Then the procedure remains the same. It is only where they say passport type, where you do what, where you choose service, diplomatic, or ordinary. Some people even make mistakes and choose diplomatic even when they are not. They think that it is about having a lot of money and then choosing any type of passport you want. No. Now, we have also diplomatic. Diplomatic is this red one. The red passport is carried by the president, carried by the Speaker of Parliament and Deputy Speaker, Vice President, Chief Justice.
Okay.
Not Chief Judge, actually, Chief Justice.
Chief Justice.
Okay. Then it is also and his deputy.
Okay.
Then cabinet ministers and deputy ministers, permanent secretaries. We have chairpersons of permanent commissions like Amnesty Commission, Electoral Commission, Public Service those commissions, Health Service Commission, the chairperson and vice, they carry this diplomatic passport. And ambassadors, people who are doing consular work outside the country, they all carry this diplomatic passport. Okay. Of course, it has some advantages. That first of all, if you are got with this outside there on the wrong side of the law, you are not arrested. Oh. It carries some immunity, gives you some immunity, some bit of immunity. So that's what it means, this passport. But for you to be able to have it, even if now you are a permanent secretary and you are entitled to this type of passport, there are instances where people would want to go out there to do private work. So you don't flash the diplomatic passport when you are doing diplomatic what? I mean, when you're doing private work. Yes. Okay. So in this case, we have been allowing some people to get diplomatic and also ordinary passport. Okay. A few people have been coming because some people would say, no, I want to go, but I'm going in my private capacity to do some work out there, maybe to conduct some business here and there. Now, this passport costs 500,000. 500,000 is paid at a go. This type of passport. Also, recognized cultural leaders like Kawaka and Chavazinga, those recognized by the Ministry of Gender. They carry diplomatic passport.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Now, that brings me to an issue. You seem to say that internal affairs, now the system has been rectified and everything is smooth. But there are some complaints that the treatment of the people who come there is not very good. For example, there is a musician called Winnie who came dressed in a skimpy outfit. And she was asked to go out. And people were wondering, it's not an event. Why is she being asked out?
That lady is called Winnie. What's the other name? That musician.
Nwaji.
Nwaji Winnie. Nwaji came to the Ministry of Internal Affairs dressed in a way that would traumatize especially other sections of Ugandans who seek services there. Remember, that Ministry of Internal Affairs is the sole provider of travel documents. So whoever is in need of travel document moves down there. So we have children, young children, we have bishops, religious people, we have people who are respected, who wouldn't feel comfortable to look at people skimpily dressed, because you would see the way she came. She was dressed, I was there personally, she was dressed in, they call them hot pants. Oh. You know a hot pant?
Yes, I know.
You're ready, you know this. Yes. Now, the navel were out, the breasts were almost popping out. And actually, before we even saw her, the young people, the kids, there was a group of children, primary children who had come for passports and they were processing, I think, a travel to Dubai. They started saying, hey, mommy, they would tell their parents, see that lady, see, wow, you know. They were excited. The young ladies, the young children who had come to passport section. So they raised concern, young as they are. So that is when we noticed and politely asked the lady to go away. But then, it wouldn't have attracted any attention if she complied with our request. But she started hurling very very, very bad words. She started abusing the security guys who were manning the internal affairs gate. She started abusing everybody just because we had asked her to go and dress decently. We wouldn't, because at a show, if you are doing a show, I think it is okay for you to dress the way you like. But this is a government department, a government ministry where respected people come to, where people who we think hold the future of this country, the young people. And look, she comes almost, I would say, a quarter dressed, not even a halfway dressed, a quarter way dressed. And it wouldn't really augur well for, especially the young people who were there. And also we have our respected cultural leaders who come there for passports, religious people and stuff like that.
Okay.
So we wouldn't have loved for somebody to walk there almost naked to be served. And we cannot condone that kind of behavior.
Thank you for rectifying that. And I believe if you are going to a public place, even if you're a musician or you hold a certain position in the country, it is better that you dress appropriately so that you don't face any challenges or problems with the security that you find there. Also, respect is very important for the people that you find at the gates. Even if you think they are nobodies, you never know. Maybe I would like to move to criteria for foreigners getting passports, because we've been hearing that foreigners have illegal passports. We wonder how they get to hold them, how they get them issued, to the extent that there's a process, and this process requires one to give their personal information. How does a foreigner get a passport, yet there is that process?
Two issues here. One, criteria for foreigners acquiring our passports.
Yes.
And then the second one is that some foreigners already have our passports illegally. Now, let me begin with the foreigners having our passports illegally. This used to happen back then when we used to have what we refer to as machine-readable passports, the black passports. Not this type of passports. Now, in East Asia, specifically China, some foreigners, and specifically from West Africa, have had their passports blacklisted in a number of those countries over drugs. So they wouldn't be comfortable to carry their passports to travel to areas like Singapore, like China, like Malaysia. They wouldn't be allowed using their passport. So, but then they also learned that in China, for instance, it is very difficult for Chinese immigration officers to differentiate between two Africans. They cannot. Me and him and the other, they cannot differentiate.
True.
So, if you had a passport like we had then, which did not have biometrics like finger, like iris, like photo, like facial recognition features, somebody would pass for the other's with the other's passport. So, when those people, West Africans, realized that these Chinese could not differentiate between them, they approached Ugandans who were living in China, especially, and bought those passports from them. So Ugandans sold these passports, and at $3,000 each. Oh. Yes, they would sell them to those guys, and those guys would use them for wrong reasons. They would use them to traffic drugs across Asia. So one time in 2017, they arrested 80 of them. They called them 80 Ugandans were arrested in China. And as you know, the law in China concerning drugs is very, very stringent. They were going to sentence those people to death. So they approached the government of Uganda to have a word before these people are sentenced to death. So they asked us to travel to China to identify these 80 Ugandans. So we traveled to China, and when we reached China, they took us to prisons, several of them that were holding these so-called Ugandans. And I can tell you, we only, out of the 8, we only had 12 Ugandans. The rest were West Africans, but carrying our passports. You would see somebody is called Chiwanuka, then you try to speak some bit of Luganda, he cannot understand, cannot even say a word. They have never even come to Uganda. They don't know even one district in Uganda. They don't know anything concerning Uganda. So we separated them, and only 12 of these were Ugandan. The rest were non-Ugandans. Why? Because they had bought these passports from Ugandans who were holding them. Because a Ugandan wouldn't even bother getting $3,000 and then thereafter report to the embassy that the passport is lost. And they process a new one. And he would be free to walk around. So that's how the whole thing was unfolding. So when we changed the passports to electronic, that business completely died. And I can assure you right now, you cannot use somebody else's passport to access, whether it is in China, because now even if they cannot differentiate by looking at the facial features, they will differentiate by fingerprints or the iris. Because when you look into the camera like this, the iris must read that they are for Carol or not for Carol. Even if we
so
look,
we don't
even
have
if we
the
are
same
twins,
iris.
we don't have. Even if you are twins, you don't have the same.
Okay.
So even if you are twins, the iris differ, the finger patterns differ, and also the facial features differ.
Okay.
So even if we are identical twins. So because of this, now that habit of buying passports from Ugandans ended completely. That is, there was a story about the same in Monte, I think, last week, and they had not known that we already addressed this problem.
Okay.
Then the other is some foreigners have our passports legally.
Okay.
And the criteria is this. When you come to Uganda and you live here for a period of not less than 10 years, and you live here legally, you have been contributing economically to the growth of the country, you have employed people, you have started a business, and you are an asset to this country, you are allowed to apply for citizenship of Uganda. So it is not that for some Ugandans down there, when they see some Muzungu carrying a Ugandan passport, then they will bash immigration, these passport thieves, they are giving passports to Bazungu. It is not that we give passports to foreigners. They have a procedure to follow to become citizens of this country. So you apply. If you have lived here not less than 10 years, you have some economic activity that is benefiting Ugandans, such as you come here, you establish family TV, and you are employing so many Ugandans, and you are paying taxes to the government of Uganda, then why not become a citizen of this country? So we register them as citizens, and once we finish the process, we issue them with passports of this country. Then we also have another window known as dual citizenship. Dual citizenship is two citizenships. Mm-hmm. You may be a Muzungu, you may be an American, for instance, and you would want to become a Ugandan as well, because the law allows. You have got to come here, apply for dual citizenship, and if you go through all the procedures and you meet the minimum requirements, then we grant that dual citizenship. So when we grant dual citizenship, it means that you are Ugandan and also an American. And in that case, you carry two passports, a Ugandan passport and an American passport. And that means that you can own property here in Uganda, you can own property in America. But you also have got to give up certain rights also. Mm-hmm. Like, for instance, you can't become president of this country. if you're a dual citizen.
Okay.
So you do away. So you have got to come to us. We explain to you the law. We explain to you some of the privileges that come with it, and some of the privileges that you have to give up in order to get this dual citizenship. So that is how some foreigners get citizenship. There's also another window through marriage. An American comes here, for instance, and admires our girl and marries her. When they stay in marriage, for legal marriage, for a period of at least 5 years in legal marriage, we allow such a person to apply for citizenship due to marriage. Okay. Because now for sure we know that you are serious, you have been with this lady 5 years, and you have probably have some children, 1 or 2, and you have already mingled with us. So there's no need for us to deny you citizenship. We used to have a problem. This law has just been amended. Back then, we would say that when you come to Uganda, you would give you this citizenship due to marriage as soon as you marry a Ugandan. So these West Africans, again, had crafted the art of coming here. They go to Kansanga, they buy a girl. Oh. Yes, 1-2 days. They agree with the girl, they give her money. Then the following day, they are in the mosque in Chibuli. Then after 2 days, they are in immigration applying for citizenship, and would give them passports. Then as soon as he gets a passport, that marriage ends. So when this girl started complaining, they would come say, it's man, we gave him citizenship, now he has abandoned me. Another one came. So we said, oh, this is the the art. So we had to tighten a bit by increasing on the number of years you must have stayed in marriage. For 5 years, legally, I think that marriage is a bit serious. Not 1-2 days, 3. Then you come here, you claim to be married, you claim to have wedded this lady, whereas you are only chasing the objective of getting the passport. So when we did that, we curbed that one. Then we also have, of course, citizenship by presumption. For instance, some white people came here. I think was it last year. I saw some case of last year where some Mzungu kid was abandoned. A Mzungu kid, 2 years, was abandoned in Kansanga at a pharmacy, in front of a pharmacy. Last year, I think, yeah. Now that case of an abandoned child, who has been found in Uganda, in the law they call them fondlings. So if you're a fondling, you are being picked in Uganda, you are not a Ugandan, you are Mzungu, we give you citizenship for as long as you are not above 5 years. Okay. That is what we refer to as citizenship by presumption. We presume that now you are a citizen of Uganda. Okay. And so many people have acquired citizenship like that. They were abandoned here, they lost their parents, and we found you alone, living all alone, and you are not a Ugandan. What can we do? We cannot take you anywhere, so we take you on as our own citizen. So that is how foreigners sometimes get our access to our passports. Okay. Some of the procedures.
All right, let's take a very short break, about 1 or 2 minutes, and when we return, we get into the refugees part. How many are they in Uganda, and is it sustainable for Uganda to still receive refugees? We're powered by Protea Hotel by Marriott Entebbe. Stay with us, we'll be right back. You're welcome back to Issues at Hand. We're still discussing fundamental affairs concerning immigration. Now we're going to move to refugees, but before I do that, I'd like to remind you that Protea Hotel by Marriott Entebbe is the place to be in case you're looking for comfort and luxury at its best. My name is Karen Wamani, and we are going on with Issues at Hand with Mr. Mundeyi Simon Peter, the spokesperson of Ministry of Internal Affairs. Now, we've talked about passports and illegal passports for foreigners, and now we're going to move to refugees. My first question would be, what is the criteria for bringing in refugees to the country, and how many are they? Let me ask two questions because of time.
Okay, one. Thank you, Carol. Uganda has an open hand policy for refugees. It is one of the most friendliest country, especially in Africa. That's why we host the highest number of refugees, totaling about 1.5 million.
Okay.
Only followed by Ethiopia with 800,000. For us, we host the biggest number. And these are settled in about 13 settlement camps. We have Chaka, we have Palabek, we have Nachivale, and others. Then also we have refugees in the urban centers here. You have seen so many in Kampala. We are hosting them here. Then the procedure of becoming a refugee is these people run from their countries due to various reasons, but most of the reasons are political. They are persecuted in their areas of origin. So when they come here, the first thing to do, if you want to declare yourself a refugee, is to report to Office of Prime Minister and hand over the passport or whatever document you came with. If it is a passport, hand over your passport, and then in that case we shall categorize you as asylum seeker. You are not yet a refugee, you are an asylum seeker. And then there's a committee in Office of the Prime Minister where immigration is also represented, called the Refugee Eligibility Committee, that sits to look at all these people who have come in and those who are seeking for asylum. They scrutinize their papers and then they grant a refugee. Others are denied because their reasons for claiming so are not valid. So once you are registered, they give you a refugee identity card, which allows you to move around and which even enables you to get some kind of job and do. Then that card, after some time, is the one you bring to Ministry of Internal Affairs when you want to get a passport. Refugees have their own type of passport, known as Conventional Travel Document, CTD.
Okay.
It is also blue in color, dark blue in color, and it costs 220,000 for refugees.
Okay.
So they get this passport and they're able to move about freely and can be even given jobs around. So Uganda is friendly. We have these refugees, and by grace of God, we have not failed to look after them because Uganda is fertile, we have lots of food. Those who are staying in the camps there, on top of the assistance that UNHCR gives, because UNHCR looks after refugees, some of them are involved in farming, and others even in commercial farming, actually. Others here are doing all lots of activities to earn a living on top of the support given by UNHCR.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Maybe away from the refugees, when you talk about the borders, which East African countries can be accessed without passports?
Okay. East African Community in 2018 held a meeting, the Council of Ministers of East African Community. When they held this meeting, they did agree that for one to move from here, for instance, going to Kenya, but anyway, we were all one person. Before the colonialists came to partition us, this is Kenya, this is Uganda, we were one person. That's why you see that when you go to the West, you go to a district called Chisoro, and you can't differentiate the people of Chisoro and the people across in Rwanda.
Yes.
Because these are the same people.
Yeah.
These people were born until 1926. The Mzungu comes and says, now Uganda passes here and Rwanda passes. But they divided the people into two. You go this way, come this way. It is for that reason that we have Banyarwanda tribe. In our constitution, those are the people. Because they were originally there. In 1926, they just partitioned like this and said, now, these
This
are
side is Rwanda,
this side is
side is
Uganda.
Uganda.
But they are the same people, brothers. You will find that some of these people have relatives the other side. There's a gentleman who had 4 wives and had children. Some wives are staying in Rwanda, some wives are staying in Uganda. So the children, where will you put the children? Are they Rwandese? Are they Ugandans? I mean, these are the same people. So that's what happened. So here, we agreed, so Kenya signed that protocol of allowing us access Kenya using national ID and Rwanda.
Okay.
Tanzania, they said they are still studying. But at least for Kenya, you can go to Kenya using national ID. You can also go to Rwanda using national ID. You do not need a passport. So far, those two have agreed. But of course, talks are ongoing. We want to ensure that going to the whole of East Africa as a community, you don't need to have a passport really to go to, for instance, South Sudan, for instance, Tanzania, or even Burundi. You don't need a passport to cross there.
Okay.
Because you see, these people, some of them have gardens the other side. They keep going there to dig in the morning, come.
Coming back.
So how many times will this immigration officer keep stamping the passport? Each time you go to dig, then come back to drink water in your house, then go back to your garden. So will you be stamping the passport? No. These are the same people.
Okay.
I come from eastern Uganda, and we have Kenyans in western Kenya who are exactly like us. We speak the same language, only that they are in Kenya, for us we are in Uganda. But we speak the same language, and we have the same culture of circumcision. Okay. They circumcise them, we also do circumcise. Okay. Even in our cultural grouping of the Vamasava, we are the same. Yes, okay. We are the same. When it comes to culture, they come to and we celebrate together. Same with the Sabines. That is the Kalenjin of Kenya, then Sabines of Uganda. These are the same people.
Okay.
They are just these boundaries really, but we are just one and the same.
Okay. Thank you so much for this show. Maybe you end with your last words as you assure Ugandans that Internal Affairs is there to support them.
Hey, thank you very much, Carol. As Minister of Internal Affairs, I am passionately appealing to Ugandans out there who are seeking for services of, especially passports, because this is for Ugandans. So I call upon Ugandans to apply for these passports themselves and avoid and desist from dealing with brokers who are defrauding them of their earned money. It is not good for you to give somebody 1 million shillings, to give somebody 2 million shillings to help process a passport when we have actually simplified and demystified passport application procedures. So I call upon you to do away with brokers at all times, and we shall serve you very gladly. You are all welcome to Ministry of Internal Affairs, especially passport section, where we normally interface with Ugandans, and we have a professional lot of officers who sit there, and they will serve you with a smile. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mundeyi Simon Peter, spokesperson of Ministry of Internal Affairs. My name is Carol. Thank you so much for being a part of Issues at Hand. The conversation continues on our social media, and we are powered by Protea Hotel by Marriott. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a good day.